Well, as I said last week, it was a big week for us in terms of matches. We had a three-match week this week, and I won't go into details of every match, but I thought we saw a lot of really good things throughout the week. We executed extremely well against Loyola and Evansville, our match on Tuesday and Friday. Just a couple things with that. Loyola is second in the conference right now, and I really felt like that was one of our best performances of the year when you look from start to finish. Loyola did start off a little bit slow and definitely was more capable of what they showed in the first game, but I think the biggest positive for us is that when they did start turning on and playing how they're capable of, I thought our kids did a really good job of hanging in there and making adjustments and still going after them as opposed to kind of sitting back and when Loyola started to show up. So a very good week for us in terms of those two matches. Offensively, we not only hit our goals but exceeded our goals, so that was great to see. And then defensively, we held both of those teams below their average hitting percentage, so really proud of our effort there. I would say that it probably didn't end on the best note because of our match against Southern, but again, Southern was that team that I talked about last week that has an offense that we really can't replicate in practice, but I told our kids that is not something that we use. We have to work at figuring that out during the match, and I think the toughest part for us is trying to find that fine line between figuring out how to defend a team that we really can't practice against and not getting caught up and letting it affect other parts of our game. And I thought, unfortunately, we did a lot of that on Saturday. It's the type of thing where you're trying to be so fast, but rather than being more disciplined and fast, I felt like there were times we got a little bit more chaotic as opposed to being more disciplined. So unfortunately, that affected a lot of our games. And what I mean by that is offensively we have made such improvements, and I've talked about that up here throughout the last couple weeks, but we had 30 errors in that match, which is a number that we have not had in a long time, and I talked about that a lot at the beginning of the season. That was a number that we saw a lot at the beginning of the season, but on the other side of that is defensively, we allowed Southern Illinois to hit 368 for the match, and that is the highest anyone has hit against us this year. So we have a lot of pride in our defense, and unfortunately I think our execution on that side, whether their offense is fast or not, was definitely not what we're capable of. So I think that's the part that I think stung the most for our team, is that we allowed a team to hit at that high of a percentage. It kind of was reversed matches. When they played here, they had a lot of errors. We played there with a lot of errors. So like I was telling somebody that I'd like to see both of us having our best matches and see how we would both do. But again, a lot of great things. It's one of those things where we have to really move on from Saturday's match because we did have a lot to be proud of throughout the week, especially in a week where we didn't have a lot of practice time. We head into Friday and Saturday, and we played two teams that beat us on the road, so two teams that we know we have to be prepared for in a lot of ways. We have Illinois State on Friday, and they are tied for us right now in the conference with 4 losses. But the difference is they have played the number 1 and 2 teams, Missouri State and Wichita, twice. They played them again for the second time this last weekend, and they beat Missouri State. And then they lost a tough 5-game match with Wichita, who is first in the conference right now, 17-15 in the 5th set. So a very capable Illinois State team. I think the biggest thing is they're very, very good defensively. They have 2 really big offensive players. Ashley Rosh is, I think, the best pin hitter in the conference right now. And then they have a middle that is the highest efficiency hitter in the conference. But if you just focus on those 2 kids, they have kids that can really step up offensively as well. So a very good Illinois State team that's playing with a lot of confidence. Then we have Indiana State, and they are the best 3-8 team I have ever seen in our conference. They're a team that, as you know, beat us in 5. Since they've played us, they've lost their top outside hitter, but still have been playing everybody very tough. They've only been swept once, and that was by Wichita, and even those 3 games were all close, but they've had a lot of 5-game and 4-game matches where they're right in it, and I'm not sure if their best player will be back or not for our match, but they always come very well coached, and both teams I know will be very prepared for us. But we're really looking forward for the opportunity to play those 2 teams again. Again, our second to last weekend at home, which is crazy that the season is flying by that fast, but looking forward to some great crowd support for our opportunity to play some of our last matches at home this weekend. So come on out and watch this team. Any questions?
How helpful is it now that you have just 1 or 2 matches each week and you get more of a regular pattern going to close out the regular season?
It's really awesome in terms of practice, for sure. I think the other exciting thing is we do goal setting, and our players evaluate their goals on Sunday night and send emails. And I had 3/4 of my kids say we can't wait to get into practice to be able to work on these goals. So I think the neat thing is our kids are very excited to practice, because sometimes at this point of the year you don't really know where they're at in terms of, it's a grind. It definitely is, but they're excited to get into the practice gym and have opportunities to get better individually at some things, and also obviously some things as a team. So we're looking forward to having just the 2 matches from here on out.
Speaking of crowd support, you played 3 road games and they averaged about 250 fans. How tough is it for the team to play at the level you want, and how appreciative does that make you of your fan support?
Yeah, it is. It's so amazing, Gary. And I think that's one of the things, some of those, especially our freshmen, don't realize it until we go on the road and see some of the places. And, it's unfortunate because some of those teams are really good teams that, they definitely deserve that crowd support. They have great teams to put out there on the court. And we just feel very blessed and fortunate, and that's why I talk every time when we talk about our fan support. We do not take it for granted, and we know how fortunate we are to have such awesome support. And it's not just even the number. It's, our fans get into it. They understand the game. They're very supportive in a lot of ways. So we're very fortunate for that support.
Is it hard for them to get to a level of play when there's a smaller crowd, or is that not a big factor?
I think, we talk about that a lot, because I think you can have both sides of it, because when you have a big crowd that's against you, sometimes that maybe works against you. So being honest, we play it both ways. Whether we have a big crowd or a small crowd, we talk about different things in those different situations. But I thought our kids did a really good job of providing their own energy throughout the 3 matches we had this week. All right, thank you.